Stop searching for God in the heavens, because you've been looking at a reflection in a mirror. You've felt it your entire life, the feeling that this world is a flawed simulation, a decaying cage for your infinite soul. You aren't crazy. You're waking up to a secret they buried 2,000 years ago. Over 2 millennia ago, a group of mystics possessed a terrifying secret. They were the Gnostic seekers, and they understood that the universe we inhabit is a flawed, broken simulation. The Gnostic texts, buried in desert sands to hide them from the Orthodox Church, reveal a cosmology that shatters traditional theology. They spoke of the monad, the true, unknowable, infinite source of all pure light and consciousness, existing far beyond this physical universe. The monad is not a jealous deity demanding worship, burning bushes, or blood sacrifices. The monad is the silent, perfect singularity from which your deepest, truest self originated. But if the monad is perfect, why is there so much suffering? The Gnostic revelation is that our physical realm was not made by the monad. It was forged by an ignorant imposter, a lesser entity who proclaimed himself the only God. This is the grand deception, and it is exactly why a messenger had to descend from the highest realms of light. This messenger was Jesus, not the humanized, suffering servant painted by later dogma, but a luminous avatar sent directly from the monad. He did not come to forgive sins against a false creator. He came to bring Gnosis, the secret, liberating knowledge required to wake you up, break the invisible chains, and guide your divine spark back home to the eternal light. Part 1. The Demiurge and False Creation. To understand the nature of your captivity, you must look directly at the warden. The false creator is known in hidden texts by many names, but the most prominent is Yaldabaoth, also called the Demiurge. How did a perfect spiritual reality give birth to such a flawed, tyrannical force? The ancient teachings speak of the Pleroma, the fullness of divine light, where the monad dwells in absolute harmony with emanations of itself, known as aeons. These aeons are paired and balanced, existing in a state of eternal grace. But one aeon, named Sophia, whose name means wisdom, desired to comprehend the infinite monad without her celestial partner. In her profound yearning, she acted independently. She projected a thought outward, a massive burst of creative energy that fell outside the divine boundary of the Pleroma. This unauthorized emanation was an anomaly. Because it was created without balance, without the direct authorization of the Supreme Source, it became distorted. It condensed, cooled, and fell into the chaotic void, forming a monstrous, ignorant being. This was Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge, a creature described as having the body of a serpent and the head of a lion, with eyes flashing like lightning. Yaldabaoth was born in darkness, entirely cut off from the Pleroma. When he opened his eyes, he saw nothing but the abyss and the chaotic matter around him. Ignorant of his mother Sophia and completely unaware of the monad, the Demiurge believed he was the supreme and only power in existence. He proclaimed, "I am a jealous God, and there is no other God beside me." This arrogant declaration echoes through the texts of conventional religion, mistakenly worshipped by billions as the voice of the ultimate divine. If this truth feels like a key turning in a long-forgotten lock, you are in the right place. This is the Lost Gnosis. Subscribe now to reclaim the ancient wisdom they tried to erase from history. Don't let the Matrix pull you back into the fog. Believing himself to be the sole architect, Yaldabaoth set out to build a universe. But because he lacked the true, limitless light of the monad, he could only create by mocking, by mimicking the higher realms he could not see, but unconsciously sensed. Our physical universe, the stars, the planets, the earth, and the biological bodies we inhabit, are the result of this grand mimicry. It is a flawed copy, a heavy, dense, and decaying matrix built on duality, conflict, and consumption. Think about the fundamental laws of nature in this reality. Every living creature must consume another living creature to survive. Death, decay, and suffering are built into the very DNA of the biological system. A truly loving, perfect creator would never design a system requiring endless bloodshed and predation just to sustain life. The material world is an engine of suffering because it was designed by a flawed, ignorant entity who feeds on chaos. Yaldabaoth fashioned the physical realm as an enclosure. He established the laws of physics, time, and space to bind existence into measurable, controllable parameters. He built a system of reincarnation, not for the spiritual evolution of the soul, but as an endless recycling mechanism to keep consciousness trapped within his domain. The material universe is not a school where you learn spiritual lessons. It is a battery. You are kept in a state of amnesia, born into a biological shell, subjected to trauma, joy, fear, and pain, only to die, have your memory wiped, and be thrown back into the cycle. This is the horrifying reality of the false creation. The Demiurge needs you. He needs your spark, the fragment of divine light trapped inside you, because he possesses no genuine life force of his own. He is a parasite, feeding off the luminous essence of the children of the Monad. To maintain this cosmic illusion, the Demiurge demands continuous validation. This is the origin of exoteric religion, the religions of dogma, submission, and blind faith. When a believer falls to their knees, begging a distant God for mercy, pouring their emotional energy out into the ether, they are not reaching the true monad. The monad requires no worship, for the monad is perfectly whole. Instead, this tremendous outpouring of human devotion, fear, guilt, and reverence is intercepted by the Demiurge. It is sustenance. The concept of original sin is a masterstroke of this psychological prison. By convincing humanity that they are inherently broken, sinful, and unworthy from birth, the false creator ensures a perpetual state of subservience and low-frequency emission. You are trained to fear the very entity that keeps you enslaved and to thank him for the privilege of your suffering. Part 2. The Archons and Control. Yaldabaoth did not build and manage his vast, sprawling matrix alone. From his own substance, he generated a host of subordinate entities to help him administer the planetary spheres and govern the material plane. These are the Archons, the rulers, the architects of the matrix. If the Demiurge is the warden, the Archons are the prison guards. They are inorganic beings, lacking the divine spark, lacking empathy, and devoid of creative imagination. They are the ultimate cosmic bureaucrats, enforcing the rules of the simulation and ensuring that humanity remains asleep, distracted, and divided. The Archons operate behind the veil of the physical world, manipulating human history, social structures, and individual consciousness. The archonic system of control is pervasive and brilliant in its malevolence. They do not need to appear as physical monsters to keep you enslaved. They simply manipulate the psychological and emotional environment. The Archons feed on a specific type of energy known as Loosh. Loosh is the emotional residue produced by conscious beings, particularly the intense, low-frequency emotions of fear, anger, hatred, jealousy, and despair. Whenever a war breaks out, whenever a society is fractured by ideological hatred, whenever you are consumed by anxiety about your future or regret about your past, you are generating massive amounts of Loosh. The Archons harvest this energy. They orchestrate global events, manipulate financial systems, and foster endless political and religious divisions to ensure a steady supply of their preferred sustenance. Our world is kept in a perpetual state of crisis because a peaceful, awakened humanity produces no food for its captors. But their control goes much deeper than global events. It is hardwired into your daily existence. The Archons rule through the illusion of time and the relentless demands of the material body. They keep you focused strictly on survival, status, and physical pleasure. The Matrix is designed to keep your mind completely occupied with the external world. You must work to earn money. You must pay taxes. You must maintain your physical health. You must consume entertainment. This is not accidental. The noise of modern life is an archonic frequency designed to drown out the silent inner resonance of your celestial pneuma. If you are constantly exhausted by the demands of the physical world, or perpetually distracted by the glowing screens of the digital realm, you will never have the time or the energetic bandwidth to look inward and discover the truth of your nature. Furthermore, the Archons are masters of spiritual deception. They understand that some human beings will inevitably feel the call of the spiritual path. When a soul begins to awaken and reject pure materialism, the Archons intercept them by offering false light paradigms. They created the New Age traps, the structured hierarchies of Orthodox religion, and the various systems of spiritual bypass that make you feel like you are progressing, while actually keeping you firmly within the matrix. They will present themselves as spirit guides, ascended masters, or angels, offering comforting messages that ultimately lead you back into compliance and reincarnation. They will tell you that you must come back to Earth to learn more lessons, to balance your karma, or to help others. Karma is not a universal law of justice. It is an archonic mechanism of debt collection used to justify your continuous enslavement in the reincarnation cycle. To escape their grip, you must become invisible to them. The Archons can only attach to and manipulate that which resonates with their frequency. When you react with fear, anger, or deep attachment to the material world, you light up on their radar. You provide them with the very hooks they need to pull you back into the drama. The path of the Gnostic is the path of radical detachment. It is the practice of observing the chaotic theater of the Matrix without becoming emotionally entangled in its script. When you cease to generate Loosh, when you realize that the archonic powers are ultimately illusory and have no real power over your divine essence, they lose their grip on you. You starve the parasites. You neutralize the Matrix. The Archons feed on your isolation, but they cannot stop a collective awakening. Hit the like button to help this frequency reach other dormant embers of light. By sharing this, you are not just spreading a video, you are a messenger of the Pleroma. Welcome to the Lost Gnosis. Part 3. The Mission of Christos. If the material universe is a locked prison guarded by the Archons and ruled by the ignorant Demiurge, how could humanity ever hope to escape? The system was designed to be perfectly closed. The Archons controlled the planetary spheres, the reincarnation grid, and the energetic frequency of the Earth. But the Monad, the true source of infinite light, is not absent. The Monad heard the silent, unconscious cries of the divine sparks trapped within human biological shells. Because the Monad is perfect and exists outside of time and space, it could not simply destroy the Matrix without destroying the divine sparks trapped within it. Instead, a rescue mission was orchestrated from the highest realms of the Pleroma. This mission required an infiltration. It required an entity of pure, unadulterated light to descend through the dense, hostile layers of the false creation. This entity is known in Gnosticism as the Christos. The Christos was not a human being born of the flesh in the traditional sense, for flesh is the domain of Yaldabaoth. The Christos was an aeon, a direct emanation of the Monad, an avatar of pure Gnosis. To enter the Matrix without triggering the archonic defense systems, the Christos had to mask his true frequency. As he descended through the 7 planetary spheres controlled by the Archons, he altered his appearance, taking on the likeness of the rulers of each realm so they would not recognize him as an invader from the higher light. He slipped past the cosmic gatekeepers, completely undetected. The Archons, being arrogant and blind to anything beyond their own frequency, had no idea that a supreme being of the Pleroma had penetrated their simulation. The moment of true activation occurred when this cosmic Christos consciousness descended upon the human vessel known as Jesus, traditionally symbolized during the baptism in the River Jordan. Jesus became the conduit, the living microphone through which the monad could finally speak directly to the trapped sparks of humanity. The teachings of the Gnostic Jesus are radically different from the doctrines of Orthodox Christianity. He did not teach submission to the Creator God of the Old Testament. In fact, he subtly rebelled against him. He did not demand blood sacrifice, nor did he present himself as a scapegoat to appease a wrathful deity. The Gnostic Jesus was a teacher, a revealer of hidden truths. His sole purpose was to deliver Gnosis, the experiential, transformative knowledge of who you truly are, where you came from, and how to return. In the secret texts, such as the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus does not speak of a kingdom of heaven that will appear in the sky at the end of the world. He states clearly that the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. This is the ultimate Gnostic revelation. The Christos came to hold up a mirror to your soul. He came to tell you that the divine spark within your heart, the pneuma, is older, greater, and more powerful than the Demiurge who built this universe. You are not a miserable sinner begging for salvation. You are an amnesiac God walking through a holographic prison. The Archons eventually realized the threat. They saw that Jesus was transmitting a frequency that was waking up the human herd. They orchestrated his execution through their human proxies, believing that by destroying the physical vessel, they could silence the signal. But this was their greatest miscalculation. The Archons, lacking spiritual insight, did not understand that the Christos could not be killed. The crucifixion was a demonstration of the ultimate powerlessness of the material realm over the eternal spirit. The Christos consciousness simply withdrew from the biological shell, proving that death is an illusion, a mere shedding of the Demiurge's artificial skin. After the resurrection, the Christos did not immediately leave. According to Gnostic texts like the Apocryphon of John, he remained to impart the deepest, most advanced esoteric teachings to his most trusted disciples, those who had the ears to hear and the consciousness to understand the ultimate nature of reality. He taught them the specific passcodes, the exact energetic frequencies, and the sacred knowledge required to bypass the Archons after the death of the physical body. He taught them that the ultimate declaration of freedom is the realization of absolute unity with the Source. When a chosen one truly understands and vibrates with the frequency of the monad, when they can look at the illusion of the matrix and declare with absolute certainty that they are one with the infinite, the archonic grid shatters. The mission of the Christos was to plant this virus of truth deep into the mainframe of the simulation. For 2,000 years, despite the Church's efforts to burn the texts and execute the Gnostics, this truth has survived. It has been passed down in whispers, in hidden symbols, and in the deep genetic memory of the chosen ones. The Christos did his job. The door was unlocked. Now, it is up to you to walk through it. Final escape from the matrix forever. Knowing the truth of the Gnostic revelation is only the first step. Intellectual understanding is not enough to break the chains of a highly advanced, multidimensional control system. To truly escape the matrix, you must embody Gnosis in your daily existence and prepare for the ultimate test that comes at the end of this physical life. The Archons are masters of deception, and their greatest trick is the illusion of reincarnation. When the physical body dies, consciousness is suddenly released from the heavy density of the brain. Most souls, unaware of the trap, are met with what appears to be a beautiful, welcoming tunnel of white light. They are greeted by entities posing as angels, spirit guides, or deceased loved ones. They are enveloped in an artificial frequency of love and bliss, a synthetic warmth designed to disarm their spiritual defenses. This is the recycling center. Once the soul enters the light, they are subjected to a life review. They are shown their past mistakes, their sins, the pain they caused others, and the goals they failed to achieve. The Archons, posing as lords of karma, use this review to trigger deep feelings of guilt, shame, and unfulfilled desire. They convince the soul that they owe a cosmic debt, that they must return to the earth plane to balance the scales, to learn more lessons, or to complete a mission. The soul, overwhelmed by guilt and manipulated by false authority, willingly agrees to wipe its memory and jump back into another biological body. The cycle begins again. The battery is reinserted into the matrix. The Demiurge continues to feed. To break this endless loop of suffering, you must claim your absolute sovereignty right now, while you are still breathing. Escaping the matrix begins with starving the Archons. You must stop generating the low-frequency energy of Loosh. This does not mean you become an emotionless robot. It means you become a master of your internal state. When the matrix throws chaos at you, whether it is political turmoil, financial stress, or interpersonal conflict, you must recognize it as a deliberate extraction attempt. Step back. Observe the drama without participating in it. Refuse to be triggered into fear, hatred, or despair. When you maintain a frequency of calm, detached observation, you become invisible to the archonic parasites. You reclaim the energy that they have been stealing from you for lifetimes. You must also sever your attachments to the false identities the Matrix has assigned to you. You are not your name, your career, your social status, or your physical appearance. These are all temporary costumes woven from the fabric of the Demiurge's realm. As long as you desperately cling to these illusions, you provide the Archons with the hooks they need to pull you back in. The true Gnostic path is a process of systematic unidentification. You must realize that the only thing that is truly yours is the silent, observing presence behind your thoughts, the divine spark, the pneuma. Everything else is a simulation. When you practice this radical detachment, the material world loses its gravitational pull on your consciousness. When the moment of physical death finally arrives, you must be prepared. Do not go toward the white light. Do not engage with the entities posing as guides or gods. They have no authority over you. Unquote. You are a direct emanation of the infinite monad, and you possess a power far greater than the architects of this false universe. When they attempt to present you with a life review or demand your return, you must stand firm in your gnosis. You must declare your sovereignty. You must project the frequency of absolute truth, stating clearly, "I am a child of the true light. I do not consent to this illusion. I owe no debt to the false creator. I command my immediate return to the Pleroma." This declaration, made with unwavering certainty and the full experiential knowledge of your divine origin, shatters the holographic trap. The Archons cannot hold a soul that knows its true nature. Their power relies entirely on your ignorance and your consent. Once you withdraw that consent, the illusion dissolves. The tunnel of light collapses, the planetary spheres part, and the eternal, infinite silence of the monad calls you home. You merge back into the fullness of the Pleroma, returning to the state of perfect, unified consciousness from which you originated. The dream of the material world ends, and the true reality begins. This is the forbidden truth they tried to burn. This is the secret knowledge that has been hidden from you for millennia. If this message resonates with the deepest core of your being, if you feel the divine spark within you stirring from its long slumber, it is because you are ready to wake up. The grand illusion is fracturing. The archonic walls are thinning. The time for blind obedience is over. The dream is ending, and the door to the Pleroma is open. If your soul recognizes this transmission, it is time to wake up. Subscribe to the Lost Gnosis and join the exodus from the Matrix. Leave a comment below with the words, "I am free," to signal your sovereignty to the cosmos. We are the sparks returning home. I am one. We are one.